4, and welcome to your final home learning geography lesson. We're excited to be able to do geography in school from next week. This week we're going to be looking at what are the advantages and disadvantages of living near a volcano. So that is our key inquiry question today. First, as always though, we are going to begin with our knowledge quiz. So either you can complete this on your task sheet, or if you weren't able to print this, you can just number down 1 to 5 and I'm going to put it onto the screen. So if you're going to complete it on your task sheet, pause me now and then come back and we'll go through the answers together. Or if you need it on the screen, continue watching. Okay, so question number 1. A volcano that is never expected to erupt again is categorized as active, dormant, extinct, or composite. So pause me now. And the answer to that one is extinct. So if it's never expected to erupt again, it is classed as extinct. It's dead. Question 2. The sides of shield volcanoes are gentle slopes, steep, cone-shaped, or made of magma. Pause me now. Okay, well done if you said gentle slopes. So shield volcanoes are gentle slopes, and it is composite volcanoes which have steep sides. And of course, it's not going to be made of magma because magma is molten rock which is under the ground. Question 3. Volcanoes usually occur at transform plate boundaries, true or false? Okay, the answer for that one is false. So volcanoes, the most common boundary they occur at is convergent, but they can also appear at divergent plate boundaries, but they don't appear at transform plate boundaries. Question 4 from last unit. Julius Caesar successfully invaded Britain, true or false? And again, that is false. So Julius Caesar did invade Britain twice, or he tried to invade Britain, but neither of them were successful. And you might be able to recall some of the reasons why, such as him not being able to dock his boats. And question 5, what is the name for the place where a river ends and it enters another body of water? Pause me now and choose your answer. Yeah, well done if you said it is the mouth. So the source is where the river begins, the mouth is where a river ends and it enters another body of water such as the sea or a lake or maybe into a different river. Okay, so let's have a quick recap from the learning of last week. So there are 3 categories of volcanoes. My first one over here is a type of volcano or category of volcano which is expected to erupt again and it erupts regularly. So shout out the name for that volcano. Well done. That is an active volcano. My volcano down here, it's sleeping. It might erupt again, but it hasn't erupted perhaps for quite a while and it doesn't seem like there's much volcanic activity. Shout out the answer. And that one is dormant volcano. And then we have our last one, which is dead. It hasn't erupted for a long time and it's not expected to ever erupt again. So well done if you said that is extinct. Obviously, it can be quite hard to categorize volcanoes because they are to some degree quite unpredictable. But generally, it follows that if it's an active volcano, it has volcanic activity occurring. It might not have erupted for a little while, but an eruption is expected again. Dormant, a volcano, it might take 10,000 years for it to be classed as dormant, or it could be just a few hundred, depending on the volcanic activity. But they often haven't erupted significantly for quite a while. And then extinct is when it's been dormant for at least probably 10,000 years, but it's usually only classed as extinct after 1,000,000. And there are 3 types of volcano. So our first one here has steep sides. It's usually quite large in size and it is cone shaped. Yes, of course, I'm talking about composite volcanoes. My next one over here is quite flat and wide, and it produces runny lava, which means that the lava flows down the sides and solidifies further out, which creates its wide look. Yep, shield volcano. And then my last one is cone shaped as well, but it's much smaller and it's usually found near other volcanoes. And correct, that is a cone or a cinder cone volcano. So let's just recap our actions quickly from the learning last week. So we had active volcanoes. So get your this going. Active. And that is when they're erupting regularly and expected to erupt again. We then had dormant volcanoes. So dormant volcanoes are sleeping and they're expected perhaps to erupt again, but we're not sure. They don't have much volcanic activity and they might have not had a large eruption for quite some time. And then we have extinct volcanoes. So extinct, the volcano is dead. It hasn't erupted for a very long time and it is not expected to erupt again. Then for our types of volcano, can anyone remember the action for composite volcano? Yeah, well done. So composite volcanoes, we had our hands in the air. Obviously, they are large volcanoes and they have steep sides. Show me the action for shield volcano. Well done if you remembered. So obviously, as we said, shield volcanoes are much wider and flatter because of the runny nature of the lava. And then can anyone remember the action for a cone volcano? Excellent. So cone, again, will make a cone shape, but they're much smaller and they're usually found near other volcanoes. They do, of course, also produce hot ash and cinder rather than lava flows. Well done. So just make sure you keep recapping those actions and we will go through them again next week back in school. Okay, so starting to move on to today's lesson, we are looking at the advantages and disadvantages of living near volcanoes. 1 in 10 people in the world, so around 800 million people, live within the danger range of an active volcano. So it's not particularly rare. Lots of people do live near them. And this is a picture from the Philippines, where obviously we can see that there is a building, a house, and there's also lots of built up human resources such as communication lines. So a lot of people do live near volcanoes. So just pause me for a second and have a reflection on this question. Can you think of any reasons it would be good to live near a volcano? Okay, and welcome back. I hope you maybe thought of some reasons. It might seem a bit tricky at first, which is why we are going to now have a look at got 4 main advantages of living near a volcano. So the first advantage is that volcanic rock and ash produce fertile land, which is great for farming. So fertile is the opposite of kind of barren land. It means that it's really, really good for producing crops, so for food. So a lot of farming is done near volcanoes. Now, this picture down here is a picture from the Eastern Congo, which is in Africa, of Mount Nyiragongo. So you can try saying that. It's Mount Nyiragongo in Eastern Congo, and there's lots of farms around there. So volcanic rock and ash produce really fertile land. The second advantage of living near volcanoes is that a lot of tourists come and see the volcano, which provides money to the local economy. So if your area is a hot tourist area like London is, it really helps the economy because it creates jobs and it means that more people are buying things from shops. So if you live near a volcano, obviously it's a great way for people to get tourists to come and visit where you live. So our picture on here is from Mount Aso, which is the largest active volcano in Japan. And as you can see, it's busy, it's full of tourists. So people from all over the world travel to see this volcano. The third advantage is that minerals, which include sulfur and diamonds, are contained in lava, which can be mined and sold for money. So here we have a picture of the Ijen volcano in East Java in Indonesia. And we have some people who obviously are coming and they're mining. So they're looking for the natural resources that volcanoes and lava are rich in. And the fourth advantage is that geothermal energy, which is energy made and stored by the earth, a renewable source of energy, is produced by volcanoes, which provides cheaper heating and electricity for locals. So because the earth produces it, there's very little cost that goes into creating the energy, and therefore it can be cheaper for countries who are able to run on geothermal energy. And this is a picture from Iceland, and Iceland is most of its energy comes from geothermal sources. So volcanoes are great at producing geothermal renewable energy. So let's quickly recap those advantages. So our first one was that if you live near a volcano, there is lots of fertile land for farming nearby. The second one is that tourism boosts the local economy. So you get lots of tourists coming to help the local economy. Number 3 is that there are opportunities to mine for minerals. So if you live near a volcano, you obviously have easy access to that. And the fourth advantage was that they produce renewable energy called geothermal energy, which is an energy source that comes directly from the ground and the heat produced by the earth. So we're going to play a game. So either using the task sheet or listing 1 to 4 in your book, I am going to show you 4 slides. Each one has a real life scenario, and you need to say which advantage it is describing. So these will be on the slides, but it's either going to be the fertile land for farming, tourism to boost the economy, opportunities to mine for minerals, or geothermal energy. So pause me now and list 1 to 4, or get ready for this activity. Okay, let's go. So the first one, you need to tell me which advantage it's describing. Volcanoes like Stromboli and Etna in Italy and El Hierro in the Canary Islands support olive grove vineyards and plantations of dates, oranges, and lemon trees. And then green tea is grown near Mount Fuji in Japan. So which advantage are these scenarios describing? Well done if you said it is the fertile land for farming. So near the volcanoes in Italy and the Canary Islands, there are olive groves and vineyards which are used often to produce wine and plantations of fruit. And then near Mount Fuji, a lot of green tea is grown. Okay, moving on to the second one. Your second scenario is that in Iceland, nearly all electricity is generated from renewable resources. And a quarter of this comes from geothermal energy. So this is energy from volcanoes, as we said. The picture shows a geothermal power plant in Iceland. So which advantage is this describing? Yeah, well done. Geothermal energy. So obviously if you live near volcanoes, it's a really great opportunity to produce clean, renewable and cheaper energy. Our next one is that after the 2012 eruption of Tolbajik in Russia, geologists found diamonds. So there were many news articles at the time claiming that this was a volcano that erupted diamonds. And here we have a picture of some of the ones that were found. So which advantage is this describing? Yeah, well done if you said that it is the opportunities to mine for minerals. So that's a big advantage of a volcano. If you live nearby, you'd have been able to go. And obviously, if you got your hands on a diamond safely, hopefully, then you would have probably been a very rich man or woman. And our last one, the scenario is that in Iceland, pools of water heated by the earth itself attract thousands of visitors each year who come to relax in the hot water. So this is a picture of a place called the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. Some of your parents or maybe family members have been here, and it's a very popular tourist destination. So yes, well done if you said that volcanoes help generate tourism, which boosts the local economy. Excellent. So those were some real life scenarios just to help you understand the advantages of living near volcanoes. Okay, so now moving on to the disadvantages, which you probably have more of an idea of what they might be. So pause me now and just have a quick think about what you think disadvantages of living near a volcano might be. Okay, so the first one is the obvious one, is that if people live near volcanoes, they can be in extreme danger if the volcano erupts. People could lose their lives and their homes, leaving them in urgent need of shelter. Here we have a picture from North Sumatra in Indonesia, where 25,000 people needed to be evacuated when Mount Sinabung erupted. So as we can see, there's a lot of devastation. The ground is covered in ash, and obviously there's always the danger if you live nearby that there could be a big eruption. So obviously, looking back at our book and history, we know in Pompeii there was a giant eruption in 79 CE, which devastated the whole city, buried it, and killed everybody there. So nowadays, death doesn't happen as much because volcanic activity can be measured more easily than earthquakes, for example. So usually we can evacuate people, but you're still in danger of losing your home, and you could obviously become injured in the process. So in 1985, the eruption of Nevada del Ruiz in Armero in Colombia killed over 20,000 of its 29,000 inhabitants. So that is well over half of the inhabitants in the city were killed when the volcano erupted. And that was only about 35 years ago, 36 years ago. The second disadvantage is that lahars, so my turn, your turn, this is a new keyword. So lahars, which are masses of rock, mud and water that travel quickly down a slope, can knock down man-made structures and wash away communities. So again, the picture from Armero, Colombia. This is devastation caused by a lahar. So it kind of can sweep away a whole city or town. And obviously it's not just water, it is rock and mud as well, which are much heavier, which can cause injury and obviously knock down any man-made structures such as houses, offices, bridges, anything man-made. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines. The lahar caused more destruction than the eruption itself. 200,000 people had been evacuated before the eruption. So this eruption was about 30 years ago. And as you can see, again, it caused massive destruction to towns and city, to the town and city. And 200,000 people had to be evacuated. That's a massive amount of people. So lahars can be extremely devastating. Third disadvantage of living near a volcano is the volcanic gases that they produce can be poisonous, and volcanic ash particles are tiny and very sharp, and they are dangerous if they are inhaled. So they can be really dangerous as well. So this is a really interesting picture. It's a microscope image of volcanic ash. So the tiny particles that we see in the air, you can't see this, but when it's really, really zoomed in, this is what they actually look like. And as you can see, they're really sharp and rough. So even though they're tiny, in reality, this is a really, really zoomed in picture. Obviously that still going into your throat could cause a lot of damage, so it's not very nice. And the fourth disadvantage is that volcanoes can disrupt transportation. So this is a picture from Kilauea volcano in Hawaii in 2018, so only about 2 or 3 years ago. The volcano suddenly erupted, and as we can see, not only was it probably extremely scary for whoever was in this car, but it has obviously completely blocked the road as well. So it can disrupt transportation on this level, but it can also disrupt flights. So, as many of your parents probably remember, in April 2010, a volcano in Iceland erupted, which disrupted many flights across Europe for about a month, and this affected 10 million passengers. Now, the volcano name, I've been trying to learn how to pronounce it, but it's quite hard. It was a volcano called Eyjafjallajökull in Iceland. That is not the best pronunciation, but it's extremely hard to pronounce. You can have a go yourself. There's lots of videos on YouTube if you want to try and learn how to pronounce it. And this volcano eruption, it meant that people couldn't fly between countries, especially a lot of the airway from North America to the UK was blocked, so some people couldn't return for at least a month, and lots of people couldn't go on their holidays. It was over the Easter holidays, and it meant that a lot of people couldn't travel or travel home. So let's really quickly recap the disadvantages. First one is obviously the most obvious, the extreme danger of living near a volcano. The second one was the lahars, which can sweep away people and cities and buildings. The third is the risk of inhaling volcanic ash. So gases are poisonous, but obviously volcanic ash as well. If you inhale it, it's very sharp particles. And the fourth one is the disruption of transportation, because obviously the planes, they couldn't fly because there was ash, obviously making visibility hard. So it was really, really difficult to travel. Let's recap the advantages again. So my first advantage was obviously fertile land for farming. Second one was tourism. The third one was opportunities for mining for minerals. And the fourth one is our geothermal renewable energy. So for your second activity, I would like you to rank the advantages and disadvantages of living near a volcano in order of importance. So do each one separately. So first of all, you'll do the advantages and list them 1 to 4 in order of importance. And then you can move on to disadvantages and list them 1 to 4 in order of importance. For example, if I was to do the disadvantages, I would say that the most important disadvantage is the extreme danger, because obviously you could end up losing your life, you could end up losing loved ones or your home. And I'd perhaps say the least important one is the disruption of transportation, just because, this year has proved to us that actually we don't need to travel. It's kind of a luxury that we have, but it's not necessary and essential to survival. But you might disagree with me. You might have a different most important and least important, and I don't know which way around you'll put the others. So list 1 to 4 2 times, and then firstly rank the advantages in order of importance and then the disadvantages. If you'd like to challenge yourself, write a sentence explaining why you put them in this order so that your teacher on Seesaw can see your reasoning for this. Or you might want to record a voice note on Seesaw. So pause me now and rank them in order of importance. Okay, welcome back. I'm excited to see what you think is the most important, especially for the advantages, because I'm sure that many people did not know that there were advantages of living near a volcano before today. Moving on to our final activity now for the lesson. I would like you to write a paragraph to summarise why it would be advantageous to live near a volcano. So we've got our 4 advantages here. You might want to do a bit more research. Some of you I know enjoy reading books or looking online. So why is it advantageous to live near a volcano? So I have written a paragraph summarising why it would be disadvantageous to live near a volcano, just to give you an idea of what we are looking for. So for my paragraph on why it's disadvantageous, I wrote that volcanoes can be dangerous to live near. Firstly, a volcanic eruption can be deadly to those who live near the volcano, either from lava flow or more likely from lahars or inhalation of volcanic gases, as volcanic ash particles are very sharp. Furthermore, volcanic eruptions can disrupt transport, which could leave you stranded. So, obviously, in there, I've said that they're dangerous. I've said they can be deadly, sometimes from lava flow, more likely from lahars or inhalation of volcanic gas, or kind of separately volcanic ash particles you inhale that are very sharp. And I've also mentioned that volcanic eruptions can disrupt transport, which might leave you stranded somewhere or unable to travel to loved ones. So that is my example on why it is disadvantageous, but I would love you to write a paragraph on why it is advantageous to live near a volcano. Okay, so pause the video and complete the activity and come back when you've finished. Okay, welcome back everybody. Myself and your teachers will really look forward to seeing those those answers on Seesaw later. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and I definitely learned a lot researching why it's advantageous to live near a volcano, because I never really knew before. You'd often think it's just dangerous. Have a good rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Goodbye.